trying to be of some service to the servitors. So I have our distinguished panel here, so let me bring them on. Dandat Pranam, Shripad Arun Krishna Prabhu.
Dandat Prabhuji, dandads to everybody.
So today we are having a slight technical difficulty with our meeting software, so please bear with us, those who are watching. And Namaskar, Syamaji.
Namaskar Prabhu, Dandavat, everyone.
Dandavat. Arun Prabhu, could you say just something one more time? So, because this is voice driven, so if you say anything, then it'll bring up your picture.
Sure, dandavats to all. Please accept my dandavats.
Okay, you're back. All right. So, before we get to today's topics, I see another instance of you.
Yes.
Okay, but there's a echo.
Yeah, and that should be gone.
So as customary, we're gonna start with Mangalacharan. So please, those who can, join in the auspicious invocation, asking for mercy from our spiritual masters. Otherwise, you can simply listen in. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sacha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Pariyana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sacha Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananyana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Guru Abhishta Sapurakam Guru Ganayarashisa Sambhushitam Chinta Chinta Samastavedana Punam Shri Rupa Panthanugam Govinda Bhidam Ujjalam Vartanam Bhaktianuvitam Sundaram Vande Vishwagurun Cha Divya Bhagavad Premdo Hibij Pradam Devam Divyatanam Suchandravadanam Balarkachelanchitam Sandranandapuram Sadeka Varnam Vairagya Vidyambudem Shri Siddhantanidim Subhaktilasitam Saraswataram Varam Vandetam Shubhadam Vadeka Sharanam Nasiswaram Śrīdharam Shri Siddhanta Saraswati Tividito Gaudiya Gurvanvaye Bhato Bhanu Riva Prabhat Gagne Yogaura Sankirtane Mayavadati Mingilo Daragatan Udritya Jivanima Krishna Prema Sudabdigahan Sukham Pradata Prabhum Tam Bhaje Namo Gaura Kishoraya Bhaktavadhuta Murtaye Gaurangra Padma Bhrangaya Radha Bhava Nishevine Vande Bhakti Vinodam Shri Gaura Shakti Swarupakam Bhakti Shastragya Samrajam Radharasa Sudhanidim Gaura Vrajashita Sheshaira Vaishnaveira Vanda Vigraham Jagannatha Prabhum Vande Premabdham Nidda Vaishnavam Vancha Kalpataru Bhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavtaram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahavadanaye Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Tushe Nama. So we're discussing the hidden treasure of the sweet absolute, the Chatushloki, the four essential verses which are termed as the nutshell verses of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, as explained by Param Guru Mahārāj, Śrīla Bhakti Rakṣhak Śrīdhar Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj. And for commentary, we are following subjective evolution of consciousness. And the chapter is chapter number 11. Dandavat Pranam, Shripad Chinmadev Prabhu.
Dandavat Prabhu. Dandavat Prabhu Krishna Prabhu.
So there appears to be some issue with Microsoft Teams, as I'm not able to see anyone's camera on. And now Arun Prabhu, I'm just seeing your icon. So FYI, just to let you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see everybody.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
I can see everybody.
Jai. Perfect. And this is voice activated, so if you speak, then it'll turn your picture on. So perfect. So we're at the Chatushloki. We've covered the shlokas. If you want, we can look at them one more time, real quick. And this time, instead of chanting, I'll just go through them, so it's a little quicker. Is that agreeable? So
Yes, that sounds good.
okay. Let me start with bowing down to His Divine Grace, Om Vishnupad, Śrīla Bhakti Sundar Govind Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj. And then we approach the Bande Shri Guru Gaurango Radha Govinda Sundaro Sagano Giyate Chat Gita Gudarth Gauravam. So bowing down to the holy feet of Shri Guru Shri Gauranga and Shri Radha Govinda Sundar, all accompanied by their associates, I sing the glories of the hidden treasure of Srimad Bhagavad Gītā. This is by Om Vishnupad, Śrīla Bhakti Rakṣhak, Śrīdhar Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj. Chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga, verse number 8. That is the first of the 4 nutshell verses. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhav samanvita. The Lord says, I am Krishna, the sweet absolute, the origin of all, the entire universe of material and transcendental play, activity, purpose, and the Vedas and allied scriptures which give guidance all evolved from me alone. Realizing this hidden treasure, persons of fine theistic intelligence surpass the mundane and embrace the path of love divine, Rag Marg, and adore me forever. So in this first verse, just a brief recap. Those who are joining in for the first time in this series, this is the 3rd part, and they haven't seen the last 2. I would recommend that you please see those. The readings in there are invaluable from Srila Śrīdhar Mahārāj's commentary. However, in this verse, the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is revealing His identity as Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matta Sarvam Pravartate. And at the same time, He is also identifying the believers, the special kind of believers who He calls Buddha, those who are endowed with fine theistic intelligence. Now, they're believers of all kinds, but He has kind of isolated the Buddha, the ones specially who are endowed with fine theistic intelligence, and He further specifies within the Buddha, He says, Bhav Samanvita. And what does that mean? Bhav is very difficult to translate perfectly in English, but still, if I were to say, I would say heartfelt divine sentiment. And Samanvita is, of course, full of. So first He reveals Himself And then within this first verse, he also identifies a set of devotees, believers, and especially those who are bhajante, who are worshipping him. Again, worship is not bhajante, but anyways, worshipping him with bhav, heartfelt divine sentiment, full of heartfelt divine sentiment. Okay, so we go to the next verse. Mat chitta madgat prana bodhayant parasparam kathyantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Now, he's explaining, in this verse, he's explaining the attributes further to kind of identify in gradation those who are matchitta madgat prana bodhayanta parasparam, so who are entirely surrendered and they are conversing about the Lord. That's all they do. They have nothing else. Parasparam, amongst each other, they take great pleasure in doing that, and their entire life force, their entire vitality is for the service of the Lord. And then there is another word here, nityam, which means, nitya means always, without any breaks, 24/7. And then tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Here he has identified two subgroups within the bodhayanta, within the Buddha and Bhava Samanvita. Here, one subgroup is tushyanti and the other is ramanti. So tushyanti is still, you could say, parental mellow, Vatsalyaras, and then ramanti, then he starts to talk about the Adiras. Next verse. Now he says, Tesham. So he is pointing to a certain type or a certain subgroup that he has identified. And he says, Satati Yuktanam, always engaged in bhajatam, in worshipping him, Priti Purvakam. Now he has identified the bhav as Priti, which means this is Madhurjaras. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. To them I give that divine intelligence to surpass the mundane and come to me as a upapati. That is the inner meaning that Param Guru Mahārāj has drawn.
Prabhu,
Yes.
can I ask about the one word bhajante and bhajatam? Are they related? And you mentioned that bhajante doesn't mean worship.
Yes, it's the same. It's used in different parts of speeches. So you see bhajatam and bhajanti, but the key word is bhaj or bhajan. That is the key to both, which is the same. Worship is, why I said that is because worship, if you see in the common sense, is like, okay, what religion are you and how do you worship? So this is not cookie cutter religion and this is not cookie cutter worship. That's why I said that. Then Dadami Buddhi Yogam, how they surpass the mundane and even they go against the scriptures. Those. So again, he has narrowed down in this verse, Tesham is referring to the Ramanti group. Right? So let's look at the last verse and then we will start the reading. Or actually, we'll stop here, pause here, and then we will start reading because Param Guru Mahārāj talks about the last verse after this. So if you permit, then I can start reading. in Sakhyaras, this is Param Guru Maharaj, in Sakhyaras, these sentiments of Parakiya are also found. Some say Krishna has come from Mathura and he may again go to Mathura. He does not belong to us. He is not exclusively our friend. This apprehension also fills the minds of the cowherd boys, and they become anxious, thinking we may lose him at any time. So that sentiment makes friendly service toward him more intense. In this way, the whole sentiment in Vrindavan is Parakiya. In the mood of servanthood or dasyaras, there is sometimes some sentiment like that. Devotees feel, some say that Krishna comes from Mathura, that he is the son of Vasudeva. He is here only for a while. He is not an ordinary man like us. This idea is more or less current in Vrindavan. So Parakiya is not only found in Madhuraras. Krishna may capture all with that sentiment. But Parakiya is a very special thing in Madhuraras. Its specialty is that in Madhuraras it is more objectionable both to the scriptures and to society. But for the gopis, it is not objectionable. In Madhuraras, they have to cross over the directions of both the Vedas and society. They must take that great risk. But in other rasas, there is only the fear that we may not have Krishna permanently. He may go away. He does not belong among us. This suspicion increases the intensity of their service. But in Madhuraras, they must cross the positive directions of the Vedas and society. They must go against the authorities as if to take the risk of committing sin. This is the special feature of Parakiya and Madhuraras. So there the intensity of devotion is in its highest condition. So the inspiration towards Parakiya, yena mama payantite, that Krishna discusses here, with special reference to those who are ramanti, who are connected to him in consorthood, is also present in all the servitors in Vrindavan. Okay? Finally, we come to the last of the 4 nutshell verses. Bhagavad Gītā, chapter 10, verse number 11. Tesham evanukampartham aham jnanajam tama nasham atma bhavasthav jnanadipena bhasvata. So this is the next verse. Krishna says, this is Param Guru Maharaj. Krishna says, to show them special mercy, I enter their hearts and destroy their ignorance with the lamp of knowledge. The inner meaning of this verse is more difficult to draw out. The words Tesham evanukampartham may be interpreted in 2 ways. The external interpretation is that Krishna favors his devotees. And the internal explanation is that Krishna is saying, I want their favor. I aspire after the favor of the devotees of the highest order. So just a little pause here. I want to submit to the panel with your permission and with blessings of Gurudev and Param Guru Maharaj. Do you want to look a little more closely at that last verse with me? You want to study it? Arun Krishna Prabhu? Chinmoydev Prabhu?
Please.
All right. So we're going to attempt it, and the great Brahmin from Prayagraj is going to help us. I'm not getting your video, Arun Prabhu. Can you fix it, please, or no?
My camera is on.
But
Prabhu, can you see?
I can see you.
yeah, I don't see. I only see Chinmoy Prabhu.
Okay.
Anyway, Chinmoy Prabhu, say something so you stay on.
Okay, I will.
Okay, well, let me bring the. Oh, there you are, Arun Prabhu. Perfect, perfect. So now, I'm going to say, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say the verse one way. And you're going to help me as I say it in understanding what is being said. And then the next one I will say in another way. So here, what I'm doing is, I am doing away with the, essentially doing away with the sandhi and the meter. So just going to say it in the raw form. Are you ready, Arun Prabhu?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Tesham ev anukampa artham aham ajnanajam tama nashamya. Once again. Tesham ev. Arun Prabhu?
Yes, yes.
So, Tesham ev anukampa artham. So, Tesham ev is referring to a specific group,
Yes.
very specific group of devotees, which he discussed in the previous verse,
Right.
who are connected to him in consorthood, and they're the highest of the highest, correct?
Yeah.
So he says tesham ev, to those only, not the others. Anukampartham, right?
Yeah.
Aham,
Which is.
I.
Mhm.
Ajnanajam tama nashamya. Ajnana jam tama means ajnanajam, you can say ignorance born of darkness, right? Tama nashamya means I destroy that, right?
Mhm.
And then Atma bhavastau jnanadipena bhasvata, which means
And their heart, the real gyan is he illuminates.
and that Atma bhav, not just ordinary gyan. Atma bhav means how they relate in that peculiar and particular relationship that they see within Parakya, the Lord, according to their unique sentiment, divine, heartfelt sentiment. Then they are, then he shows them Jnanadipena Bhasa. Okay?
So
that is now,
that's one meaning. Yeah.
that is one meaning. Now, what I will try and do is say it another way, and then you tell me how the meaning changes. So, now I'm going to just, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange. Because I can in Sanskrit, without changing anything, if I rearrange and it still makes if I still can, then it makes, I can do it. So I'm going to say it in another way. Aham anukampa artham teshamev. What does that mean?
It is, I'm at the anukampa of those.
Hare Krishna. Huh? Aham anukampa artham teshamev. So now this has reversed, but I haven't changed anything. I have just changed the order, which I am allowed to. And then agyanajam tama nashamya. That also stays the same. Then atma bhavastau jnanadipena bhasvata. So just by rearrangement, wasn't the like what Param Guru Maharaj said, by his grace, some explanation we were able to give, right?
Yeah.
Chinmoy Dev Prabhu, did you follow a little bit?
Yes, I could see. But does the Eva, or no, the Anukam Artham, does that meaning change if you put the Tesham?
No. Anukampa Artham. Anukampa is loosely, it's like compassion. Huh? Tatte Anukampa Susamikshamano. Anukampa. Over there is also Anukampa. This is also Anukampa. Huh? Artham means for purpose of. But by changing aham and teshamev, then anukampa, artham points to a different direction.
Yeah.
Right? But if you say it as packed and with meter, then it's different. Tesham eva anukampa artham hammagyanajam tama nashamyatna bhavasthau jnanadipena bhasvata. But when you break it up, then if you say it as components and then rearrange it, then you are able to get the inner meaning like that. By anukampa artham, like that. So let's back to Param Guru Maharaj. I'm going to just read the last paragraph again. The inner meaning of this verse is more difficult to draw out. The words Tesham evanukampartham may be interpreted in two ways. The external interpretation is that Krishna favors his devotees, and the internal explanation is that Krishna is saying, I want their favor. I aspire after the favor of the devotees of the highest order. Hare Krishna. As in Bhagavatam, Krishna says, Mai bhaktir hi bhutanam amratattaya kalpate Drishtaya yada sinamat sneho bhavati nam madapana. My dear gopis, everyone considers themselves fortunate if they possess devotion for me. But by that they achieve an eternal life of nectar. But I must admit that I consider myself most fortunate because I have come in touch with the wonderful affection found in your hearts. Still, the paradox is that Krishna seems to say that after such grief and continued engagement with Krishna, then he gives these higher devotees pure knowledge. And by that knowledge, they get salvation by attaining Brahman. That is the point of argument made by the followers of Sankaracharya. But I have taken it in another direction. So do you follow? He's talking about that latter part of the verse. Aham agyanajam tama nashamya, and then atma bhavasthav jnanadipena bhasvata. Jnanadeep, lamp of knowledge, jnanadipena bhasvata. So here now, this is Param Guru Mahārāj explaining that part. Jnanadeepen, back to Param Guru Mahārāj. Jnanadeepen is a troublesome expression. I enlighten them with knowledge. So I have given another interpretation. When the pangs of separation felt by Krishna's devotees comes to its extreme stage, Krishna suddenly comes and shows himself. For example, Shachi Devi feels extreme separation when she cooks for Nimai. And then by his mercy she can see clearly that Nimai has come and taken prasadam. Similarly, in Vrindavan, when the pangs of separation reach their highest degree, then suddenly the devotees can see that Krishna is here in our company. So when Krishna says that out of his mercy he appears and removes their ignorance, their ajnan, he means that when the devotees are experiencing separation from him, he appears before them and removes the darkness they feel from separation. Out of his mercy, he gives them sustenance. And when that sort of medicine has been applied, they can go on further. In Vrindavan, when his devotees feel separation, sometimes he had to come and show his friends, I am amongst you. I have not left you. This is what is meant by dispelling darkness with the light of divine knowledge, jnanadipena bhasvata. Here the word ignorance or ajnan means jnana shunya bhakti. Knowledge-free devotion. Devotees do not think that they are part and parcel of the Leela, the pastimes of the Supreme God. No, their devotion is free from such calculation. It is jnana shunya bhakti, most innocent. Here Krishna is saying, I can't tolerate the pangs of separation felt by my devotees. I must run towards them and show them, I am here. My mother, you see, I am here taking food, and sometimes Shachi Devi prepares food for the deity, and after offering it, she sees that it is all gone. At that time she thinks, was this a dream? I saw Nimai. He was taking prasad. And of course nothing was left in the pot, but Nimai has gone long ago. But then who has taken this prasad? What was it I saw? Was it a dream? Or has some dog taken the food? Or is it that I forgot? I have not cooked today. Perhaps I did not give the bhoga to the Bal Gopal deity. What did I do? In this way, Shachi is confused. This may be seen as her ajnan, her ignorance. When Sri Chaitanya sends some devotee to her saying, you tell all this to my mother. On those days when such things occur, I actually go there. I take food from her hand. It is not a dream. Remind my mother of this and console her. Tell her that I come to her and take her cooked prasadam. Remind her that this has occurred. So this is the meaning of the fourth nutshell verse from Bhagavad Gītā. By his mercy, Krishna removes the darkness of separation from his devotees and those that remind us of Krishna, and thus remove the darkness born of separation from him, are the real humanitarians. They are distributing the highest cure. The gopis tell Krishna, we are suffering from this pang that is created by you. But the messages about your pastimes give us life and sustenance. We are eager to hear this. And then we may feel that we are getting our life back. There is no other medicine but your assurance and consolation that alone can save us from these pangs of the burning heart. This is their statement in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 31, verse number 9. Tava kathamratam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham shramana mangalam srimadaatatam bhuvi granantiye bhuridajana. O Krishna, we are always suffering in this world, but just hearing the nectar of your words and pastimes gives us life, and as a byproduct it removes all of our sinful reactions. This sort of hearing is all auspicious and fills us with spiritual wealth. Those who deliver this message of Godhead are doing the highest relief work for human society and are actually the greatest humanitarians. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Paribrajagacharya Varya Asta Sotra Sata Shri Śrīla Bhakti Rakṣhak Śrīdhar Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj ki Jai. So that concludes the Chatushloki subjective Bhagavad Gītā chapter, and we will begin with the Gayatri, which is chapter number 12 from next time. Arun Prabhu, I would like you to reflect and say something.
Bhagavad Gītā is enlightening, and the way Param Guru Mahārāj explains it for our benefit, even the dullest of our gray cells are able to understand and really feel that energy that goes through, which really connects us to our existence. That's all I can say, Prabhu. The words are not enough in my vocabulary to be able to even express a tiny fraction of what the mercy that Gurudev is able to convey. And the nectar of Bhagavad Gītà and the nectar of pastimes of Bhagwan, the way he explains are so fulfilling, enlightening, and yet feels like I've learned nothing, and there is so much more to it.
Jai Shripad Arun Krishna Prabhu ki jai. Chinmoy Prabhu.
Well, I mean, I'm no Sanskrit scholar, so I mean, this is such high topics, but I mean, we're definitely very fortunate to have someone as the Śrīdhar Maharaj to be able to understand these topics and be able to explain them to us. And I'm also just remark on the two words like gyan and buddhi. They seem to have like somewhat mundane meanings most of the time, knowledge or intelligence, but Śrīdhar Maharaj is able to pull so much more out of that than the general interpretation of those words. And even in that one verse, I think, where he talks about jnana and ajnana and atma bhava, where it says, in their heart, they reveal that knowledge. So that knowledge is not just brain knowledge.
Jai. Shripad Chinmadev Prabhu ki jai.
Right.
Anyone else would like to say or reflect or comment, please do so. Mic is yours. Syamaji, how did you feel?
Dandavat Prabhu. I'm really blessed to hear all of the panel's explanation. It really touches my heart. It humbles me. Dandavat Prabhu.
Jai. Jai Gurudev. So with that, again, I'm always entirely indebted to you all. Arun Krishna Prabhu, Chinmadev Prabhu, and all the other participants. It is a blessing. So give me a couple of minutes as I round up our team, Kirtan team, and be back with you.
Dandavat Arun Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Chinmadev. Hi Anika.
How are you, Ramananda Prabhu?
I know. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Hari Haraya Namah Krishnaya Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan.
गिरिधारी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन
गिरिधारी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन
श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत चंद्र
चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत चंद्र
गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद
गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद
जय रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ
जय रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ
शिव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ
श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ
इच्छाय गोसाय कोरी चरण बंदन
गोसाई गोसाई कोरी चरण बंदना
जह होते विज्ञानाश विष्ट पुराण
जहाँ होते विघ्ननाश विश्व पुराण
इच्छाय गोसाय जार मुई तरदास
गोसाई जार मुनि तारादास
दान सबर पद रेणु मोरा पंचग्रास
कांस बार पद रेणु मोरा पंचग्रास
तांडेर चरण से विभक्त सने बास
तांडेर चरण से भी भक्त सनेबास
जनम मोरा अभिलाष
जन्म मोरा अभिलाष
इच्छाय गोसाय जब ब्रज कोइलाबास
गोसाई जबे ब्रजे कोइलाबास
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण नित्य लीला कौरीला प्रकाश
श्री राधा कृष्ण नित्य लीला कोरिला प्रकाश
आनंद बोलो हरि भजा वृंदावन
आनंद बोलो हरि भज वृंदावन
श्री गुरु वैष्णव पदे मजैया मान
श्री गुरु वैष्णव पादे मान
वैष्णव पाद पद्मा कोरियास
श्री गुरु वैष्णव पाद पद्म कोरियास
हरि नाम संकीर्तन को है नरोत्तम दास
हरि नाम संकीर्तन को है नरोत्तम दास
हरि हराय नमः कृष्णाय यादवाय नमः
हरि हराय नमः कृष्ण यादवाय नमः
यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः
यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल
निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल
जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव
जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव
जय Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar.
Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar.
Jai. All right. Anika ji, are you ready?
Śrīmad Bhakti Sundar Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupat Paramahamsa Purai Chakravarti Astachad Sati Śrīmad Bhakti Rasakshara Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupat Paramahamsa Purai Chakravarti Astachad Sati Śrīmad Bhakti Sanatana Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupat Khalagor Kishore Das Babji Mahārāj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupat Sachinananda Bhakti Bhakti Vinoda Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupat Jagannath Das Babji Mahārāj ki jai. Shri Guru Varga ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Baladeva Vidya Bhushan ki jai. Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti Prabhu ki jai. Shri Nortamir Shama Mandar Shri Vaishnachar Prabhu ki jai. Śrīla Vrindavan Thakur ki jai. Śrīla Krishnadas Kaviraj ki jai. Saprasada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Saprasada Shri Mahaprabhu ki jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giridhari Govardhan ki jai. Shri Lakshmi Vardeva ki jai. The Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Shri Nrsimha Deva ki jai. Bhakta Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Tulsi Maharani ki jai. Tunga Jamna ji ki jai. Grantharaj Bhagavatam Chaitanya Charamatra ki jai. Vishwa Vaishnava Raja Sabha ki jai. Akras Masti Priyangamas ki jai. Sadhya Sakamas ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat ki jai. Vishwa Bhavya Sadhya Sakamat ki jai. Shri Damayapur ki jai. Shri Damnabadev ki jai. Vrindavan Pursattam Dham ki jai. Baladeva Subhadra Dhamma ji ki jai. Shri Govinda Kunda ki jai. Shri Shri Shivaganga ji ki jai. Samaveta Vaishnava Mandal ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ite go from Nande.
Hari Bol. Shri Anika ji, Preeti ji, and Bikram ji ki jai. Jai Shripad Arun Krishna Prabhu ki jai. Jai Shripad Chinmoy Dev Prabhu ki jai. Jai all the assembled devotees ki jai. Jai Śrīla Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj ki jai. Jai Śrīla Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrind ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Sannasi Vrind ki jai. Nitya Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol.
Jai Shripad Jaram Prabhu ki jai. Aba Didi ki jai, Alit